blessings be to everyone. You're looking at the Underground Railroad, and we come on every Saturday night at 10:30, but this is a special edition. I'm working on some changes with the Underground Railroad, and I'm going to be more inclusive instead of having panels dominated by men, which I will admit, I'm a little male chauvinist. But you know what? But I'm going to change some things because you know what? If I want to broaden my viewership, I cannot continue to do the same things that I did last year and bring them into this year. So you have to improve, and you also have to sit back and listen to people too, because when people give you criticism, it's not quite often really too much to hurt you. It really helps you if you take it in a positive manner. But you're looking at the Underground Railroad, but we normally come on every Saturday night at 10:30, and we come on YouTube. And you know what? It's a pleasure for me to have a lady of elegance on, intelligence, and she has her own television show. And you know what? I was expecting some other people to come on, but you know what? It all worked out the way God wanted it to work out. You know, so it says that we try to understand things, but God is the best understanding, the best knowing everything. So, you know, I want to thank you for accepting the invitation to come on the Underground Railroad television show. I want to thank your husband, because I want people to know I talked to her husband because before I even went to her, because my religious system tells me that I just can't go to his wife without going to him first. But that's just me. So tell us something about yourself, and thank you for accepting the invitation. And we're going to talk about women issues.
Yeah. Cliff, thank you so much for having me on here. You know, you've been talking about getting me on here, so I'm finally on here on your show. And the show is what it's supposed to be, and that is a conversation between me and you. So this is an honor and an opportunity, and I really appreciate it.
And you know what? This show, more or less, since I have been neglective of tackling women issues, I want to hear from your grand scheme of thing and your perspective. Because, of course, we different genders. We don't share the same experiences.
No, we don't.
Okay. But first of all, tell us about your show, and you're an author too.
Yes.
And you might want to touch on your book.
Yes. Well, the name of my show is Today with Audry Kay. Mm-hmm. And on my show, what we do is we get on as many positive and uplifting guests as we possibly can. And the reason why we do this is because we're a part of a ministry called Christ Alive Worldwide Ministries. And what we believe in is giving people with talent, because we believe that the only place true and real talent comes from is God. So we believe in giving people with talent an opportunity to come on and express themselves, whether it's dancing or singing or writing. This past summer, we just did a series with playwrights, and a couple of them, yes, and a couple of them, they were able to do 15 minutes or so of their plays that they wrote, and they were definitely great, and they were from the Chicagoland area, because we do want people to see what kind of talent we have in the Chicagoland area. So we do that, and we also, I just love singers and dancers, and they usually come on and we have a conversation about their journey, because everybody has a testimony, and part of your testimony is your journey. Mm-hmm. Should I say part of your journey is your testimony? Mm-hmm. Part of your journey is your testimony. So we love having those types of guests on our show, and we just, every year we have a waiting list.
Just had LaDonna Tittle on too.
Yes, we had LaDonna Tittle on, Miss Ethel from the Shy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had her on, and we also we're going to have Shay Rhymefest, he should be coming up. We're going to do a men's show with him because he's written a documentary, or he's a part of a documentary called In My Father's House, about how he found his father after so many years. You know about that?
I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to learn about it.
He found his father after so many years and found out that he was homeless.
Okay.
So it's yeah, so it's an exciting year we got coming up.
Okay, turn up, talk up. Okay, telling me to talk up. I assume.
All right.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so I can't. You could just tell me.
Keep talking.
Okay.
Sorry about
Okay, it's all right. And you know what? Every single male every single male that I have that comes on my television show, I always ask them, what has their wives done to help them? Has their wives put them in their right place when they got out of character, when they thought more of themselves? And I would like to turn around and ask you, how's your husband been supportive in your endeavor, y'all endeavor? And does he put you, I'm not going to say put you in your place, keep you grounded when sometimes you might get out of hand, but that may not happen to you though.
Well, I keep him grounded.
Okay.
That's just good way to put that in there. Yeah, yes, it's definitely, to me, in order for a relationship to work, you have to be somehow involved in each other's lives. You just can't be living two separate lives and expect to have a cohesive relationship. And one of the books, well, one of my books that I wrote just recently is called Why Christian Women Are/Should Be Sexy. And that is, let me get this, hope I get this right, intelligent, effective, all that good stuff. So it's not about being physically just some kind of way. It's about a mental thing. It's about an emotional thing. It's about having a relationship with God. So in that book, I do talk about how women should actually interact with their husbands, because we all have different needs. Men have different needs, and a lot of women, they don't want to admit that men have different needs. They want to view them a certain way and not really address or tend to the needs of a man. Just like some women, men, they don't want to admit that women have different, needs. And different women, they have different levels of certain, things that they need in order to feel like a happy and productive person. So I wrote this book basically because I want women to understand that you can love God. And when you love God, that in itself brings out something that's just, it's a light in you. It brings out a joy in you. It brings out happiness in you. And that filters over to your husband, to your children, to your job, to your church, your synagogue, or whatever, because that is a part of what's appealing.
But how has he helped to ground you? I'm saying, how has he helped being your, maybe I didn't ask the question in the right way. How has he helped to enhance and to embellish your life to make you greater than what you already are?
I think that being a
Mr. Brown.
I think that being a Christian woman, I think that you kind of already have to have that, and I think that this is true for any woman. I think that a person, your husband, can add to your joy, they can add to your happiness, but they should not be responsible for it.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people, that's where they go wrong. It's like they want to make their husbands or their wives responsible for their joy. That joy has to come from inside. That confidence has to come from inside. Now, people can, a man or a woman, they can tear it down or they can build upon it. And I'm just fortunate, just by the grace of God, to be in a relationship where my husband, he helps build it up and not tear it down.
Yeah, a lot of people become jealous. Some partners become jealous and envious of their partners sort of overachieving.
Well,
overshadowed some partners. I'm talking about
Yeah.
people with small minds.
Right. Well, the thing about that is that when you're like that, then you need to examine yourself. What are you missing personally in your life that you could, that you need to address? Because jealousy comes from a place of dissatisfaction.
You say that we all can be jealous to a certain point.
I think that there are different types of jealousies. I think there's a jealousy that's just there's a jealousy that, like, God is a jealous God. In other words, He wants us to serve Him. He wants our love and everything. And I think that that's a good jealousy. But I think that the negative end of that jealousy situation could be people with low self-esteem who don't feel worthy. So if they don't feel worthy, then it's okay for them to bring a woman down or to bring a man down so that they can feel like they're on an even playing field. So that's a lot of times what happens with that negative aspect of jealousy. But people, we definitely want, and we need somebody, hey, you are mine, you are for me, we're for each other, and we have this love that's between us that nobody else in the world should share. That's not to say that we should just be in our own little world. Me and my spouse, or a person and a boyfriend or whatever, that does not mean that you should just be in your own little world. Although you do have a world that you share that nobody else is just totally and completely privy to.
Y'all, this is some deep stuff. Go ahead. This is a live show, too. Call in if you have a question, ladies. Go ahead.
Yes, so I think that there's a difference in those types of jealousies on the end. And when you get married or you fall in love, you want that person for you. Most people don't want to share that person with somebody else. Most people, they want those compliments to come from that person, so they're jealous for those compliments. They're jealous for that acceptance. They're jealous for that love that's only shared between those two people and nobody else. Even with the kids, there's a level of love that I share with the kids, my husband shares with the kids, and then us combined, we share with and for the kids. Okay? So even that does not enter into that sacred matrimonial, romantic state that two people who are married and in love. Because see, a lot of people are married and they're just there.
Yeah.
Okay? They're just biding their time, because a lot of times it's like, well, I'm too old to go anyplace else, or I don't have confidence that I could do any better. So they're in these relationships for various reasons, and that have not been truly examined, but yet they are there.
You know what, Miss Audrey, I like to, it's really back in slavery. The slave master used to just beat up on a black male, okay? And, back when they, I don't know if you remember the movie Claudine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, she was living with somebody and she could not continue collecting the welfare because she could not be living with this guy. Do you feel that the way black men have been abused in society and ostracized in society, do you feel as though some black women lost respect because they feel like they cannot be protected by most black men in the community, because most things that go on in the community are governed by outside forces? And they feel like they can't seek refuge, and some might even say they can't seek refuge, I join partnership with them. What's your opinion on that?
That's a very good question, and it has many parts. So I'm going to try to address one of the parts, and that is the epidemic, of slavery, and how the black male was treated, and how the black woman tends to look at the black male. I think that there's definitely some psychological and emotional damage. In Christianity, we call it generational curses that have been carried over from generation to generation because of that pain, because of that hurt, because of that suffering. It is real, and we need to realize that it is real. So it is important for Black women, first of all, to realize that it's real, but not to nurse it in a negative sense, whereas woo woo, you know, you poor thing, but in a positive sense was, hey, you are better, you can do better, I understand your pain, you know, but, you know, to help that man with what they have to rise above all of that. But it takes two to tango, because see, sometimes you can get a man that's like that, and it's like they do not care. They want to stay there. They want to stay in that pain. They want to stay in that sadness, you know. And then if they meet a woman, just say for instance, that tries to, you know, help them out of it, they reject her. And then they go looking for the one that's going to allow them to stay in that pain. Sometimes that happens. And then you get those who are willing, you know, what they say, behind every great man is a great woman. You heard that saying?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, God has a way of doing things, you know, and if you get a good woman that really loves you, that is sent by God, Allah, and whoever, that's sent by him to you, they will have the necessary ingredients to help you be a better person. That's across the board.
Okay.
If a woman meets a man that God has sent them, that woman, and I talk about this in my book, Why Christian Women Are/Should Be Sexy, that man will have the ingredients that it takes to deal with somebody like that person. One of the examples I want to just throw out there is like Kim and Kanye. That controversy about Kanye, he's going into his spiritual, you know, journey or whatever, and Kim, so everybody is on one side of the fence or on the other side of the fence, how she shouldn't let him, you know, tell her to do this, to dress this way, to walk this, or whatever, you know. If Kim is for Kanye, they are going to work it out.
I agree.
They are going to work it out.
You know, when we...
I hope that's part of the answer. Because you know it's a long question.
It's a long question. You know, this is a live show. Nobody's calling in, but they must be listening intensely, saying, "Damn, it's the Underground Railroad," because this is not usually what I talk about.
Oh, okay.
But it's okay, because y'all gonna see changes this year. You know, it's something that I would like to know from a Black woman's perspective. That Black, in some places, are seen as ugly. You have people that are bleaching their skin. You have people that are trying to do everything to authenticate that the European style is beautiful, from the hair on down to the dress. But Black is ugly. What do you say to the women that, you probably sit down, you might get mad at me, that embraces the European concept of beauty, but they abandon their own lineage in people in terms of hair and dress and everything else to try to identify with the Caucasian race because they believe it is beautiful. I was going to say hair, but that was a question I wanted to ask. They have abandoned their own culture to embrace. I'm trying to word it to embrace Caucasian because it is beautiful. Black hair is nappy, okay, because they got their hairs in the little balls and it looks Afro-Centric. I'm not talking about your hair, but I'm just making a general.
My hair looks good.
No, I'm trying to make,
I'm
a
just
general
with you.
statement.
I know.
But they have embraced the European culture, which is defined as beautiful, and they have abandoned their own culture.
I think,
Why?
Cliff,
Why would somebody say that a black doll is a white doll is prettier than a white.
Okay,
These are some examples.
Okay, that's another question. But
Okay,
as far as that goes, I think that cultures evolve. We used to talk a certain way back in the day. You know that because first of all, we had an African dialect or wherever we came from, and then you mixed it with the Southern dialect, and they're trying to teach us how to talk. So therefore, we talked a certain way. Cultures evolve. People, we don't even look. We don't look like we looked back then. Think about it. We don't, and I mean, certain things just evolve.
But
now,
you don't see the abandonment of what they're.
I think
go
that
ahead.
I think that abandonment has to happen in your soul. But I think that to be able and to be willing, to embrace who you are today at this stage and what you find attractive. If you find it attractive because it's European, that may be a problem. But if you find it attractive because you just find it attractive, that will make sense. One of the things that especially women, they went through this thing where it's natural versus, versus like with the makeup and the weaves and whatever, all like that kind of stuff. And one of the things I say, we are the few species or our race, our culture, black women, we can go from one end to the other. And one of the things that started happening is that the system, I don't know whatever you want, they try and pit us together and they find little things that they can pit us against each other with, okay? Your hair is straight, and I'm natural. Therefore, I can have something against you. You're light skinned and I'm dark skinned. Therefore, I can have something against you. You're really curvy and I'm really slim. But black men like the thick. So therefore, I can have something against you. I say we need to cut that out. I think that we should own and embrace who we are, what we like, not based on Europeans, not based on the system, but we should embrace whatever it is, that we feel we're comfortable with. We can wear our weaves if we want to. We can wear the afros if we want to. We can wear the braids if we want to. And we're the only culture that can do that.
Would you say
and we can go back and forth, and that's a beautiful thing.
Would you say that there's something that's wrong with somebody that intentionally wants to bleach their skin to identify?
I think any form of self-hatred.
Okay.
Any form of self-hatred is not good, and it's wrong. So anything you do, whether it's cut yourself or any form of violence or self-hatred that you lodge against yourself, that is a problem. So if you're bleaching your skin because you just don't want to be the color, just say for instance that you are the color that God made you, because you're so dissatisfied and you hate it so much, that's the problem, because there are some people, they put bleach on their skin because maybe something is happening like with their complexion or some type of whatever. It has to do with dermatology. So, but to do it as a form of self-hatred, that's not good.
Do you think, I'm going to turn around and ask you the other question, do you think that some people are abandoning their cultural stance and their natural beauty because of some self-hatred that they may have in front?
I think your natural beauty is whatever you can naturally attain.
No, I was talking about people. I'm talking about people who saying, you know what, it just ain't white enough.
I haven't met anybody that says it's
but
not
there's some
white
people
enough.
out there with minds like that.
Right, I'm sure there are, but I haven't run into anybody that says, to themselves or to people around me, that's just not right enough. I just haven't run into them. And I'm sure they're out there.
I'm on Facebook and Twitter, and maybe I can get rid of all that stuff.
And that's a form of self-hatred. And even when white people want to act black and they reject their Irishness or Italianness or Polishness or whatever it is, that's a form of self-hatred. You know, anytime you reject who you are, you're looking at somebody that's dealing with a sense of self-hatred for whatever reason. And for black people to do it, yeah, we see it, and it's not pretty to look at. You know, but the thing is that there's a form of self-hatred that may have come from a cultural bias or a cultural, you know, maybe they learned it, maybe they just feel it, I don't know. But that's not cool.
I think, but see, again, I think that they may be looking at it as the stigma was to be loved by their slave masters. They had to assimilate and try to become like their slave masters, and their slave masters never really grew to love them. But I'm looking at it from a man's point of view. I can never see it from your point of view.
Okay, this is the thing. Here's the thing, Cliff.
I'm listening though.
Okay, here's the thing. When you have babies, well, as you can see, I'm dark skinned. I have been all my life. Didn't change colors. It's just the way I am. But this is the thing. When you grow up.
Okay. Excuse me for 1 second. We got a telephone caller.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hello.
How you doing?
I have a question.
Yes.
Listen, I have a bad connection. Let me call you right back.
Okay. We can hear you out here.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know, and I want to, you know what, go to something else so you could
Wait a minute. I was going to address that, if you don't mind, the last statement that you made about, oh my goodness. Well, I guess we have to go on because I was about to address whatever you said before, just before the phone call.
You know what I would like to ask you.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I am a black person. I am dark skinned. I grew up that way. One of the things that, thank God, you know, my mom taught me was that I never thought I was ugly. I never thought I was too dark. I never thought I was too, you know, anything. That is